It's K Star.
It's Jew.
We here with this, that, and the third podcast, man. Gotta embrace conflict. That conflict, that tough conversation you're avoiding, bro. That's the one you need to have. That tough decision that you know you need to make, that you just been avoiding. That's the decision you need to make. Why do you think that is? Why do you think I'm saying that?
I feel like because a lot of times people don't embrace the conflict. So it's like, and then you realize later on you have that revelation about something that you don't think is truly meant for you in the moment. But when you think about the outcomes, you kind of would do something to avoid that conflict. Instead of like people will take the path less traveled, so to speak. Like take the path where it's like it's harder, but it's better for your soul,
Right.
for your spirit to know that like I did the right thing, so to speak. But rather like avoiding that awkward tension because most of the times that's when you actually grow as a person. And that's why I realized though, like when conflict arises, that's when you really grow, like as a person, because it's like your morals and shit are being tested.
And that time where your morals are being tested, that's the time where you realize, like, if you're in a place of really being not concrete, but really being set in on who you are.
Are you who you say you are?
Or are you just saying all of these things about yourself and not really? I remember me and you was talking about this. I was saying how we be talking all this stuff on the podcast, giving all this good information, but I've been feeling like I'm not applying it. So that was something that we was talking about. Like, it's about having. It's a good thing to have those morals in place and have them set and have the knowledge on what to do when the tough conversations arise and when the decisions come.
Right.
But it's like when they come, what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you going to really make the decisions that you know you need to make? Are you going to really practice that discipline? Are you going to really stay consistent? And that'd be hard for a lot of people, bro. I ain't gonna lie, because I feel like it's really easy to avoid. It's really easy to avoid, or it's really easy to push the negative shit to like the back, that you don't have to deal with it right now. Like people will think, okay, me suppressing this thought, or if I just avoid the conflict 100%, it'll just go away. But really, all that does is it makes you be thinking all the time, like,
right, think on it.
The conflict. You're thinking about how to avoid the conflict for like weeks and months on end, rather than just addressing the conflict from the jump, getting through that like week or two of uncomfortability, and then not even going back to how things were like when you feel good, but you're on an elevated level now that you were able to have that tough conversation. Because I ain't gonna lie, people be thinking about this in terms of other people, but you have to have those tough conversations with yourself first to get comfortable having those tough conversations. Because then when you go out and have them with somebody else, like you'll know who you are at the end of the day. So the other person's thoughts or views on whatever the conflict is
have no
won't hit you as much.
Yep. And bro, the reason we even started talking about this yesterday, like right before, I don't know if you remember, is because like people will like their minds, like when people don't have that proper control over their minds and their thoughts, they'll allow their thoughts to like control their actions and like and what they do, because it's like your mind will make up any type of scenario at once if you allow it to. Like if you don't have control over your thoughts and things like that, it's like, for example, I remember one time I was in trouble by my pops, right? And by like me being so nervous and scared of what he was going to say or what he was going to do, like I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to see him because I was like, bro, when I see this nigga, it's probably up for me. It's once. Yeah. Then the whole time, I finally caught up with him. He was like, bro, like, it was never even all that. Like, of course, I was going to discipline you because I had to, but you just get on with it. Like, that's it. Like, most of the times when it comes to embracing conflict, people make it so bigger than what it needs to be because they let their imaginations do that. Like, they let their thoughts or whatever just take over. And then it's like it goes from something so small to a flower. Now it's a garden of thoughts that you got in your mind. And it's like negative, all negative. Everything.
No flowers is weeds.
Bro. Everything is like, damn, like this probably happened and this probably. What if? And I noticed this too. Like when a person has that negative mindset, like when they automatically think everything is negative, it's like when it's a time for their brain to like have that imaginative moment where it's like you can think of all different possible outcomes, they're only negative. But when you like have a positive mindset and when you have more like of a growth perspective, when you think about what if this happens? What if this happens? You don't even think of it like that because you just know whatever is going to happen was meant to happen. Mm-hmm. Or when you are having those thoughts of like what might, it's all good. Like mm-hmm. you don't see the negative
exactly
and things like that. So,
and that's so real because when you think back to a movie you watched, a show you watched, you think back to a celebrity that you or anybody in your life that you may really respect on a high level. A lot of the times that respect for them and that connection to like those characters comes from them going through conflict themselves. Mm-hmm. Like you see that, damn, like
in the
movie, you see that they came from an impoverished neighborhood. Damn, like I respect that they was going through all this stuff. Damn, like this person had everything and then lost it and got it back. Oh, damn, this person made all these mistakes when they was younger and then learned from them and did better when they got older. And you connect to all those characters because like you connect to them for a reason. And those characters will not be who they are had that conflict not arose, because that conflict is going to come. And that's something I was actually thinking about yesterday. Like the fact that it's not about if you're like having, like it's not about if you're on a good path or a bad path or none of this stuff. And I see a lot of charts that'll show like the road to progress is like here and all that stuff. And I agree. I used to agree with that. I ain't gonna lie. I used to think it looks like that. Like when you look at your progress. What I really started to realize is that it's really just like 1% better every day. It's not like this. Because even, okay, if your feelings may be wavering, you may have like a sad perception of an event, or you may have a sad feeling towards how something may have turned out, but it was still progressive. Mm-hmm. It wasn't something that knocked you off your course and you have to like it's not something that knocks you down and you have to get back up. It's more so you're going up, you're going through this and going through this, even if your feelings are getting worse and you're feeling heavier, as long as you're learning and being present in those feelings, you're still going up. And then when you come out of that feeling, that's really what it goes with embracing the conflict. Like embracing the fact that I know when I trust the universe that I'm on the right path. So everything that's happening and everything I'm going to have to go through, everything I say, everything I do, all the decisions I'm going to make are in line with that desired reality that I'm expecting to come to me. So it's about embracing it and not just moving in the way of, oh, conflict is what it is. I don't care about it. I'll just let conflict happen all the time. But it's like when that conflict does arise, why is it arising? How can you allow it to arise less? Or how can you deal with it on a smaller scale before it blows up like this?
Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you a question. What would you say to people who embrace conflict and think, oh, I should go looking for conflict, or when conflict does come to me, I should fight instead of trying to learn?
Mm-hmm. What I say to them is that when you fight conflict, or both of those things are low in terms of vibration. Fighting against conflict or fighting conflict itself is not in line with what the universe wants for you to happen. Conflict is meant to happen for a reason. And if conflict is meant to happen, that means that a resolution is meant to come to you. You're meant to have a resolution or a solution on all conflict if conflict is supposed to come. So it's not about trying to find or fight the conflict and get it over with quick, or it's not about trying to, okay, conflict just came, how can we just get away with it, or how can we just get through it quick? It's about really understanding, taking the time to understand why is the conflict happening right now. Because the earlier you become present, the earlier you're able to really progress in life. Like the earlier you can really maintain a state of consciousness for a long amount of time, the easier it gets to deal with the conflict, right?
And because it becomes unshakable. Like that unshakable, you know what I'm saying?
Literally, you just have your mind set on who you are, so everything that's happening, you're not really too worried about, because you know who you are is going to trump all of that. What was
I was saying the other thing I was saying was people who go looking for conflict and people who automatically respond in a fight mode to conflict, which went back to the first part. But people who go looking for conflict, because I know you can hear embrace the conflict and think whatever conflict comes to me, I gotta be on that. It's that. But sometimes that conflict is meant for you to lose. It's meant for you to just, as crazy as it may sound, lie down and just take the beating, take the lesson. Yes. Because that's really what it is. Like you said, even when it's you going through something and it's it seems bad in the moment, it still teaches you something regardless. So you can't, like you said, you gotta just embrace it in a knowledgeable way, like the way you embrace it matters versus just trying to get it over with, because then you will never learn, and then you'll just repeat the same process of going through whatever that may be, because you're embracing it, you're expecting it, you're embracing it, and then you're not cultivating what you learned from it properly, and you're just fucking off.
And especially what you said about you're just getting farther away from it, and you just aren't really dealing with what you're actually going through. Like, especially with with conflict, you have to be like there with it, and conflict's not supposed to be comfortable, and it's not supposed to be like a pleasurable time. Like when you're going through stuff, and conflict does not just mean like fighting, or it doesn't mean you have an issue with somebody. Conflict can be like something internal. It can be something that doesn't even really involve you, but can still be just anything that causes a rift in your peace is conflict. So if you are feeling this you're having this internal warfare about a specific trait or a specific decision, if every time you have that thought, you just do something to push the thought away farther for the next day, all that does is just it doesn't let you understand what that feeling is. So if I say today, this just happened to me and now I feel sad, I can smoke the pain away. I can go out, party the pain away. I can do all this shit to get the pain to just go away. But what's going to happen is when the pain initially hit me, if I just resort to a distraction, tomorrow that pain is going to hit me in the same exact way. It's like tolerance, like with anything. I know you guys be smoking and stuff. So it's about tolerance. Like when you smoke, that first time you smoke, like that really, it hits you and you like embrace the high and you really feel it for all that it is. And then the next time it's like you don't get as high. Every time you get less high, it takes more for you to get high. So the same thing with these feelings, right? When you're sad, if you just push the sadness away without really embracing it, the next time you feel sad, it won't take anything to make you sad. Because when you first felt the sadness, you didn't embrace it, you didn't understand what it was, you just pushed it away. Yeah. So now any little thing can just disrupt your peace. But now I embrace the sadness. Okay, why is this making me sad? Okay, cool. Now tomorrow, when I feel that same thing happens and I feel that same sliver of sadness, I'm not gonna become the sadness. You know what I'm saying? Because you've now built a way to deal with what you're going through.
Back to what you were saying about piggyback off what you were saying about like now like it'll take more for you to be sad when little things or upset when little things tick you off. Like not embracing that conflict allows for it to become like a build-up. A build-up of like that pent-up emotion that you have. Like, and that's really what I want to really get on. Like, you gotta embrace conflict with the open mind. That and the fact, like, when you avoid conflict, like, you just keep pushing it deeper in, like that, because you get pent up from that, like, from all those thoughts running around in your mind of what it might be. But now it's just like more of that. You're just building it up. So then once that conflict finally happens, it's like a big hot air balloon full of just like emotions, all this shit that you just got in your mind because you were so fearful of what that conflict may be, when it really could have been something small. And it's like, that's really crazy, like that it could be such a pent up feeling of all these emotions that you got about the conflict, but then the conflict can really be something so little that can be handled so simple. But I feel like that's why even as a young man, like, you should be instilling to other young men about embracing conflict, like no matter what it may be. It may be something big as to getting in trouble with the law, or something as small as like your teacher or something like that. But like those lessons carry on. So it's like when we can teach other young kids or anybody in general just how to embrace that conflict better, that'll be something that they can translate to a lot of different aspects of their life.
I think a lot of people try to tell kids or tell people to embrace the conflict once the conflict already comes, or once the kid like does something crazy. Like, the kid is already growing up in a crazy household, already been in jail a couple of times, all this stuff, or the kid had already been doing wrong for so long that like embracing conflict is something they were never taught. I feel like when you can instill something at a small scale, like you were saying, like when you can put in somebody's mind that conflict is not a way of life, but conflict happens in life, and when it does come, life is not about trying to avoid the conflict, trying to get to a place in life where you have zero conflict. It's never gonna happen. You're always gonna have things that don't go as planned. But it's about, like you said, just understanding that. Like once you just understand that right there, then you won't have to really worry about certain like specific strategies on how to deal with the conflict. You won't have to worry about certain words you should say when you get into conflict, because you'll already be in a place where it's like conflict is what it is. Like you know what's coming, you know what's going to happen, so you can just deal with it when that time arises. And like you were saying, it's like a hot air balloon of just emotion and thoughts, like all that stuff. A lot of the issues that we think are really, really big issues, when you get like a year away from them, you look back like, damn, that shit wasn't even that big of a deal. Like I was too invested in that. I was internalizing whatever I was going through too much. The whole time I wasn't even going through nothing crazy, or I was just putting too much of a thought into what it was. And a lot of times that happens like right after we make a decision like that. Like right after we embrace that conflict, we understand like, damn, like I feel a lot lighter now. Like what I was going through
Well,
really
wasn't that serious.
Wasn't that serious at all. So
something I also wanted to say too, bro, like what you had said, like when you instill that embrace the conflict type of mindset in people when they're young, it allows them to think through decisions more. Because it's like, I'm not going to do this if I know this is going to be the type of conflict that come with it. Like even if it's something that's like breaking a law or whatever it may be, people know like, damn, whatever this conflict may be, I really have to think this shit through if I even want this conflict. And then that's going to help you further decipher if this conflict is something that you need in your life or if it's something that you really don't.
That's a bar, bro. That's a bar. Because conflict, like how we be saying, conflict is going to happen in your life. Everything important, everything worth doing will bring about its own conflict. Like you being anything you're trying, any position you're trying to get, any relationship you're trying to indulge in, anything you do, literally anything will have its conflict. So it's about you have to make trade-offs. Like you have to understand, okay, I know this job comes with these conflicts, but I know that on a bad day, this is what we were talking about. I know on a bad day, my motivation for whatever the job is or for whatever the feeling I get from the job is going to make these conflicts like something that I'm willing to openly deal with. And there's some things where the motivation for you doing it is not as strong for you to be like, on the tough days, like I'm not going to want to deal with these conflicts. I'm not going to want to do what these conflicts are. And you, like you said, thinking about it, you're going to know going into it, these are the conflicts I'm going to face. These are the things that are going to happen. Like you know everything. You know going into it, like you may not know exactly what specific situations you'll be in, but you'll know like these are the kinds of conflicts I'll be in. And so, like you said, when you just teach people to think about that just a little bit before they make decisions, it'll one, avoid conflict, and two, make them more open to the conflict itself because they understand the conflict is just a part of the journey.
Right, it's a part of the journey. I sound like we pretty much, you know what I'm saying, touched on all bases of this embracing the conflict, man. Just embrace the conflict, get what you need to get done, do what you got to do, man. Keep on pushing, keep on striving, keep on elevating, man. I'm Jew.
I'm K-Star.
This is the Third Podcast. We out.
We out.
That nigga just fucking spit.